Hello everyone, welcome. In this video we're going to talk about CSS and how to style our web page. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets and describe how HTML elements are to be displayed on a screen paper or in other media. CSS saves a lot of work. It can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. We have talked about inline CSS in the last video, and in this video we are going to talk about external style sheets. For creating external style sheets, we are going to first open our editor, and here we are going to create a new file with what name we want, and it should end with .css. For example, in this case, I'm going to name it style.css. Now here we're going to code our CSS, and later we're going to link this to our HTML file to show elements in the way that we want. This is how syntax of CSS looks like. First, we have our selector right here that we're gonna talk about it in minutes. And after this, we have this curly braces. That means what we put inside this is going to apply to what we have selected. Then we have our property, and we put columns here to separate it from our value. And then after this, we're going to put semicolons to end this line. And we're going to put our next property and value after this semicolon. To apply our CSS, first we need our CSS and HTML file to know each other. We can use CSS in three ways. First one is inline CSS that we have covered in the last part, and it's like this. Another way of implementing CSS in our HTML file is we can add a style tag right here, and here we can code our CSS. And third, and the most common way, is to create separated CSS file and link it to our HTML file. And we use that with the link tag inside our head tag in HTML file, like this. We type link. Here you see we have CSS. We tap on this. And now, as you see, this href attribute is pointing to our style file. But you might have a style file with a different name. For example, here we can create test.css, and to link this to our HTML file, we're just gonna copy this, and instead of this style, we're gonna type test. Now our file, our HTML file and our CSS file are linked. Okay, now I'm gonna delete this. And let's delete this style tags too. Okay. And let's delete this file too. Okay. In VS Code, if you want to have both your HTML file and CSS file open, you can just drag it and put this in which template that you want. I'm gonna put it right here and close this side. Okay, now let's run our HTML file. I had show you how to do this. We have a live server. We just tap on it and wait for the web page opens. Okay, I have right here, like, let's make this. Now we're going to cover some most used selectors, but we will have a separate advanced selectors part later in the channel. Let's say we have a h1 tag here with the text of test, and we want to change the color of the h1 element to red. To do that, we type just h1 in our CSS and put our curly braces after that. And here I have shown you, and we were going to talk about all these properties and values later, but for changing the color, we're going to type color here and the color that we want. For example, we want it red. We just type red, and now you'll see our h1 has been red. But remember this, here we have selected h1 elements in the file. So if we have, for example, 3 of this, all three of these are going to be red. And let's say we want our p text to be in green. To do that, we select our p text right here, and in this curly braces, we give it the color. If I spell it right, we want them to be green. And here, if I zoom in a little, you can see our p tags are green. But let's say we want our second one only to change color. To do that, here we have something called classes. Here we are gonna give a class name to our element, and after this, when we select the element, instead of element name, tag name, we are going to select the class, and it will select all of the elements with this class in it. For example, here we have P2 class name for this element. Here, if we write P2, nothing happens. We see our color has changed, but actually we wanted second one to be green, and here we see both of these in the black. That's because we haven't selected the class name. We have selected the tag name, and the browser is searching the HTML file for P2 tag. To do that, we just add a dot before our name. And now here you see we have our second paragraph became green. We have another way of selecting elements by ID, and here in the second H1 element, I'm gonna type in ID, and here I can give it ID. For example, I write just test ID here, and to select that, here we're gonna just type this number sign, and after that we're gonna put our ID name that we have given. Here it is test ID, and after it we can, for example, actually this is lowercase d, here we can make the color, for example, blue. And as you see, now our second element is blue. But let's say we wanna select all of the elements that we have here. To do that, we clear all of this. We put star for selecting all of the elements in the file. And after curly braces, for example, we want them to be in the purple color. And you see now all of these has changed to purple. Let me zoom in a little. Okay. And beside this, we have something called group selecting. For example, let's say we want our second H1 element with the ID of test ID and our p tags to be in red. To do that, we're gonna select our ID first. For example, here we have test ID, and after this we're going to put comma, and after this we're going to select whatever we want. For example, here I want our p elements, and after that we have our curly braces, and we can change the color to, for example, red. Now you see both our paragraphs and our second H1 element has changed to red. For comments in CSS, we do this syntax. First, we have this to start the comment, and wherever we want to end, we do opposite of this. First, we put our star and then our slash. Now let's select our second H1, and let's say we want to change its background color. Here, we're gonna type background color, and here we can pass whatever we want. For example, in this case, I'm gonna type blue. And as you see, now we have the blue background on H1. But if we want to add image for background, we're gonna type here background image. And here we're gonna type URL first. And inside these parentheses, we're gonna tell the path of it. For example, here we have our c.jpg, and we're gonna type it right here. And now you see it has our background, but besides of the sizing, we don't have the full view of it. To fix this problem, we can have our background size right here, and for example, if we put this in cover mode, you can see now we have our image right here in better size. The next thing we're gonna talk about is background attachment. To do this, we're gonna type background attachment right here. And for example, if we put this in scroll and we have, let's make our page a little longer. Okay, now if we put this in scroll and scroll this, you see now we have our background image scrolling normally. But if we put this in fixed mode, you see now if I scroll, you see how it behaves. It's something like behind the page, and we have this window type thing here that shows the image. And beside this, we can do this all with this shorthand command background. And here, for example, we can give this a color of, for example, purple right here. Or if we want a background image, we can do like this. And here we're gonna have it again. Please give a like and subscribe to catch next videos.